Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Train Simulator Classic, aka Railworks. And today we're going to be taking a look at the latest and greatest from Machine Rail. It's just released today in the form of the Western Maryland I-2, a 210 Decapod, not to be confused with their earlier I-1s, which were Russian Decapods, which low-key would have been awesome, but whatever. It is, to my knowledge, that somebody either commissioned this or they just kind of did it on their own. I don't remember if this was a commission or not, but they have been working on and off on this one for a minute. This was one of those locomotives that they announced a long while ago, and it goes hand in hand with their Western Maryland 280s. So we have one over here because I kind of want to see how they've improved. These Western Maryland 280s were really one of the locomotives that really brought Machine Rail to the forefront of Train Simulator Classic Steam developers. I know everybody's gonna say you smoke box. Mike does a great job, but Smokebox does not put out content very often. His stuff is very few and very far between. Whereas Machine Rail has really been churning them out. It wasn't that long ago that we got the incredible Pierre Marquette Berkshires, and they keep them coming. They do really good work, and we're here to check out the next in their line. So, yeah. A little bit on the history of these things. They were not well liked as designed and as originally ordered by the Western Maryland. The opinions of them were really low, which kind of makes it interesting that this locomotive ended up here in Train Sim. But whatever. They were notoriously impossible to operate above like 40 mile an hour because they were so rough riding. They were so rough on the rails. It's hard not to kind of bash it right off the bat because the history kind of bashes it right off the bat, but these locomotives they weren't great right off the bat. It'd be an understatement to say that they had some pretty noticeable teething problems straight out the gate. They were hard on rails. They were hard running. They were hard to operate. One of those pretty notorious stories about them is if they slipped at all, the train crew was supposed to call into a track crew or something and have them come check the rails after the train had left, because they were notorious for destroying rails if they slipped at all. With one story about a fella who got ticked off at his locomotive, not wanting to pick up and move, and he let it slip for a hot minute, and when they called the track crew out, there was something like 13 rails that needed to be replaced. They beat the snot out of track. Now, over the years, they did end up getting some changes and improvements to kind of help with those issues. Whether or not the Machine Rail locomotive is the modified later in life version, or if this is the as-built version, I don't know. I'm not a Western Maryland guy. It's not a railroad that ever tickled my fancy at all. However, I can't really be picky and choosy with Train Sim Classic because North American Steam options are really few and really far between. So couldn't tell you if this is the modified version, but it is the version that we have. They were pretty decent locomotives pulling wise. They could pull pretty heavy load. Originally designed, they were successful in the original purpose of speeding up trains with heavier tonnage, and could also pull coal trains between Cumberland and Williamsport, Maryland, in excess of 10,000 tons. That's according to steamlocomotive.com. Yeah, pretty stout locomotive for what it was. Just really really noticeable teething problems. Uh, Now these are available on Machine Rail's website for less than 20 bucks. I think it's something like 16 something ish, 16, 17 something ish. Their website starts off in Brazilian dollars. Um, the developers are from South America, so it is in their country currency starting off. There is a tab on their website to change it to whatever your country's currency is. So please do not come at me with, oh gosh, it looks so great, but it's so expensive. No, it's not. Look at the website. Take the time to actually look at the website, and you can see there is a conversion calculator there for you to use. These are cheap. These are really cheap. Machine Rail has always been pretty reasonable priced. All points considered. I mean, we see crap coming from the official guys of DTG, like High Iron Simulations, DTM, and whatnot, who charge 20 to 40 bucks for their stuff, and it's just regurgitated crap from 10 to 15 years ago. Machine Rail scratch builds everything, and they charge less than the average DLC, so really getting a heck of a deal. But enough talking. Let's get up close to the locomotive and really check it out. And while I'm thinking about it, let me open up my notepad here. It's got all the bells and whistle information that we need to know. So right off the bat, it's a heck of a looking locomotive. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, I should have stuck the Pennsylvania Railroad Decapod down that Darlin made a while ago, one of the DSG DDR's freeware models, because it's got a very similar profile, minus that ugly bell pair firebox that Pennsylvania likes. But overall, it almost has a proportionate look to it. Lord, that tender. Yeah. I don't know. There's really a way to describe that. It's massive. Heck of a tender. But, the idea is to be able to kind of continue along a road, point A to point B, without frequent water stops. The tender certainly accomplishes it. Wow. But right off the bat, it is a good looking locomotive. You will only get one singular version. There's not a weathered or clean variant. There's not different schemes or modified, unmodified. Nothing like that. It is one single locomotive, which is this right here. But you'll also get some of these hoppers in Western Maryland ski, loaded and unloaded, black and brown, and you'll get a caboose. So, not half bad for what you're paying. You're at least getting rolling stock to match the power. So, oogity boogity. Boy, I should have chose a different time of day so that we could see a little better, but oh well. Kind of nice to be able to see it in a more reasonable light, because, face it, a lot of us like to run in something other than perfect daylight bright, because that's boring. It's very rarely perfect daylight bright here in Pennsylvania. So I kind of like the scenery to look the part. Which right now we're on the B&O Mountain Sub. We're in Grafton right now, Grafton, West Virginia. More often than not, if it looks cloudy here in Pittsburgh, it's probably cloudy in Grafton. So well, it's kind of fitting. Detail-wise is pretty typical of Machine Rail now. what we expect out of them to say. They do their nuts and bolts quite well. Nuts, bolts, rivets, bells, buttons, and whistles, all modeled very nicely. And according to their critics, they actually had some help from some other notable names, such as DSG-DDR, Darwin. They've had help from Searchlight Simulations for their sounds. They've had help from, who else was it? The guys at Diesel Workshop. Although Diesel Workshop's kind of expected. They used to go hand in hand with Machine Rail. Matter of fact, they used to be a part of the same little group, but so that one's not entirely too much of a surprise. And Darwin's been working along hand with them for a while too, so between all those guys, you really come to expect a nice, high quality model, and it certainly looks it right off the bat. I mean, look at this. We got individual rivets for the firebox under here. All this piping is nicely modeled. Builder's plate is great, which is, again, one of those typical items of Machine Rail. They usually do these plaques and plates really well. I know it's a dumb detail to notice, but it's one of, I'd say, Machine Rail's really good calling cards. Their plaques and builder's plates and such, just they always look really good. Now, unfortunately, the diming plating here is kind of blurry, kind of low res. It's not terribly noticeable, as long as you're not, sitting right up on it. But once you get close to it, you definitely kind of notice it. It is definitely a little bit low res, but half a point off compared to so far. It's a really solid looking model. The brackets holding the boiler sheathing. That's kind of cool. Not something you see modeled very often. Something a lot of people actually don't think about, but typically steam locomotive boilers are actually insulated. So what you're seeing standing trackside is normally the insulation jacket. You're not actually seeing the boiler itself, because the boiler is actually usually like inside this jacket here, which of course you can't see in train sim, but that's what all this goes to. These nice long sheets here. All of this is a jacket, so that's kind of cool. It's a nice detail of them to pick up on. These idle steam effects are pretty nice. I do like them. Idle sounds are pretty nice. And this is my personally favorite weathering of Machine Rail. I never was a big fan of like this right here. This weathering doesn't scratch my itch really at all. It does. I've always said it in most of my videos. Weathering in a train game really tends to look goofy. It rarely ever plays out to look realistic. It ends up looking really weird. Like at a distance you see noticeable lines and whatnot. I don't know. It's not a good way to describe it, I don't think. It looks weird. So I really like this weathering that they do here, where it's more of, they do this, the oil streaks and whatnot, the water stains, but it's not over the top. It's just enough to make it look used but not worn out. So this weathering job's quite nice overall. I do like it. Color looks pretty nice. Another one of those things that looks a little bit funky here. This piping here looks like some odd snake skin or zebra stripes. Not so sure that that's a texture that played out too well. If you're new to my videos and you're gonna nitpick at the fact that I nitpick, you're at the wrong place, because I notice stuff like this. That's kind of what draws some of these people to me, to the point where I actually have some of the developers watching my videos, which is kind of wacky to me, but hey, they like that I find weird things like that. So that is one of those things that these two textures here, they're not my favorite. They look alright, but they're not particularly phenomenal. And from the top down, the weathering looks alright. Once again, this is where the weathering kind of plays funky. It looks great from the side. The streaking looks really good. It looks believable. And then from the top down, it looks more like a barcode. A bit odd, but whatever. On to the tender here. Once again, same level of detail. Really nice. All these 3D rivets. Absolutely love it. Here for it. Trucks look good. Underneath the tender looks good. All this brake rigging that's modeled and whatnot. I mean, they really do a good job. Boy, I'd hate to fill this thing up. You be here a minute. This is a big draw to Machine Rail. They do take the time to model most things in a proper 3D model, not a flat square with 2D textures on it. So it's kind of come to be expected of them for nice details like this to actually look properly modeled and 3D. And they do it quite well. I am here for it. I like it. On to our hoppers here. I don't know if these are reused. I don't know if any of this rolling stock's reused. I know they have had a hopper, and they've done a caboose or 2 or 3 now. If they are, they are. If they're not, they're not. Such is life at this point. But overall, they look pretty good. The texturing on the lettering on the small print, kind of low res. Doesn't look too great, I don't think. But the logo actually looks pretty darn good. The texturing on the locomotive is a lot crisper though, compared to these. Compared to the rolling stock here. It is still a little bit blurry when you get up on it. Not terribly noticeable. Just enough noticeable that you can definitely see the difference between this and like this. This is a lot crisper. Level of detail, once again, awesome. Again, they do phenomenal work in their detailing. Now they're listed as 2 different hoppers for both colors. There's black and then there's a black panel, and I'm not sure that I see the difference between the two. If we look at our notes here, let's see what the notes say about the cars. 55-foot steel hopper cars. Series of wagon complements more than 1,500 units for the company, registered from 15,000 to 16,499. Yeah, it doesn't say. But yeah, they're listed as 2 different cars. Again, I'm not sure that I see the difference though. Like I said, one's listed as panel, one's listed as black panel, and one's just listed as black. And the same for the red. One's listed as, or brown, whatever. One's listed as brown, the other one's listed as brown panel. And I don't see the difference. Yeah, I do. Or at least I see one thing that stands out. This little thing right here. I see that. Okay, okay. Now I'm kind of seeing it. It took a second. Now it clicked. Riveted details here. Separate panel. This part's a little different. So this is rounded. Probably sheet metal that's formed for it. Okay, now it's clicking with me. So they are two different hoppers. Cool. Ah, see? Little details. They notice them even when I don't. Huh. Very neat. Alright. So that is the difference between your panel and your non-panel car, as it's listed. So they are two different hoppers. Again, the lettering and texturing is a little bit low, a bit low res whenever you get up close to them. That could definitely stand to be better, but overall the cars look good. Coloring looks pretty darn good. I like coloring. Same for the brown. The brown actually looks really good. These cars look really, really nice. And we oogie and boogie on down. We got a caboose. Now this looks a whole lot like the caboose that came with the Pierre Marquette set, so it might be a reskin. I don't know. I don't know enough about Eastern railroading to be able to pick out the differences in cabooses, but what can I say? Somebody else probably can. But overall, it does look pretty darn good. I'll have one on the inside here because it does have an interior that is modeled, which is absolutely awesome. Love it. Somebody's been playing cards on the job. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Oh my gosh, you're a spoiled cat. So let's hop in it. Let's listen to it. Once again, darn good looking locomotive. I will say after their last couple of models, I do kind of hope that they play a little bit with the simulation, because both locomotives, if you ain't running a wide open throttle at top speed, you're going to be sitting here and listening to this blasted safety valve all day. Up inside the cab. Question mark. Ah. That was interesting. So inside the cab, it's gonna look actually kind of similar to the Western Maryland 280s. Whoops. I'm using number pads that are from trains. But the overall locomotive build is actually more or less a stretched version of the 280. It's not wildly different, so it is going to look a little bit familiar. A lot of the bells, buttons, and whistles are going to look familiar. The overall design is going to look familiar. Not a perfect carbon copy. Without a doubt, it is still a different locomotive, but you will notice a similarity. So, let's see if the reverse gear. It sure does. Let's get that. That's cool. Very cool. Inside and out. Of course, we got our brakes, reverser, throttle. A lot of this bells, buttons, and whistles in here are modeled and do function. One move, definitely need to take a look at the manual for operating. Let's see, we got gauge lights, class lights, task lights, number board lights. I still have functioning frames. Thanks a lot, cat. But 2 pads. That's interesting. We've had... Ah. Ah, I see. The window up there. Top of the outside so you can see the lights. Number boards. Love it. The lettering looks really nice. It's kind of entertaining though that it glows back here. You know, when they're blocked off. They're blocked off back here, but they're glowing back here too, so that's a bit odd, but the coloring is really, really nice. Once again, they did they did lights justice for this time period. I can't stress this enough. LEDs did not exist when these locomotives were built. It drives me up the wall when I see brand new content that's supposed to be 1940s, 1950s, and then they have neon white headlights. It's such a small detail, I know, but it's a small detail that gets wrong so often, and it's not that hard to change the color. So, once again, awesome coloring. Marker lights, as expected, are really, really nice. They've been doing marker lights well for a while now. The markers are awesome. U key changes the colors. Once again, colors look awesome. Shift U to change colors the opposite direction. Is there running gear lights? Not that I see. I haven't seen any anyway. We'll see when I flick switches. And my frame rates are still holding, so that's nice. Normally whenever I turn on headlights, my frames plummet. But then again, I also haven't turned on cab lights. That's usually what murders my frames the worst. So let's see. Oh, this is a fuse box. You can open it. Pool beans. Headlight. Cab light. Cab lights definitely hurt your frames. Not terribly much. Pretty straightforward. I'm getting 38 right now. Drops down to about 30. So, not horribly much, but enough to be able to notice. Front door. The windows are click only. Ooh. Noted. Buddy, your arm has issues. Oh, see? Weird little things that you notice. Yeah, man, your prosthetic there is glued to the window. So the arm is kind of interesting. It's meant to be windows open only. Let's see. Anything else? Windows and whatnot translate outside, which is really nice. Love that. Oh, I love it. Look at that light. It looks awesome. As a light should. I even have a speedometer this time. That's kind of nice. See the headlight. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. Yes. Absolutely. Dovetail Games, take note. This is what a headlight pre-1980 should look like. Matter of fact, pre-20... pre-2000s, really. Headlights just never look neon white. Ever. That is what a headlight should look like from the 1940s, 1950s, 1930s. Incandescent light bulbs are not white. Not from this time period. They're very, very orange. And that looks awesome. Look at a distance. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That looks phenomenal. Love it. Proper headlights 101. One of those things we gotta check, because Darlin's played with this model. I know he's a stickler for animations. Let's see if the brakes function. That seems to be a no. Dang. They missed the brakes again. The brakes, unfortunately, do not function. They don't let loose. They don't close. Sad times. Locomotive brake up for now. Let's check our track here. Be sure we can get out on the road without running into anything important. Now, one of the things I do wish Machine Rail would do in their manuals is provide the optimal fire weight and water weight. It's always a guess on what the optimal fire weight is for Machine Rail products, which I find a little bit frustrating, but so that is another thing to note. I do wish that they would put that in their manual. Let's see, what else are we missing? V will open our Samtone covers. Hey, cool beans. And it makes sound. Show hide crew. So these guys in the cab here, get rid of them. That's a funny feature. Yeah, it's not one that I can complain about, because maybe I don't like them. I'll just get rid of them. Maybe I do like them. Now we got guys driving. It's quite entertaining. Open these back windows. Cylinder cocks, of course, C. Injectors, train brake, bells, whistles. Let's listen to the bell. It is a steam operated bell, so there's not a cord running to it. Love it. The bell's in sync. Bell sound matches with the bell clapper, and the bell sounds great. Whistle. I love the steam effect there. That's awesome. The steam effect's really nice. Safety still kind of looks like a perfect V. Another thing I like that they changed on here is this nice idle smoke here compared to that. So that is some nice progress there. So let's come back here. Oh, the distance. Oh, the whistle at distance sounds awesome. That is one of their best whistles yet, I dare say. At distance, that sounds really good. Now, up close, it is a little bit noticeable. The whistle has a bit of a fuzzy note to it. I assume that's from the recording of the whistle, but it doesn't have... Yeah, it doesn't have any noticeable pops to the loop or anything like that, so that's nice. It's blended well. So yeah, overall, pretty solid sounding whistle. I dare say one of their best recently. One of the issues I found with their whistles as of late is their ending note is usually too abrupt. Um, they don't have kind of a nice drawn out wind down. It's more of just a whistle off. So I definitely think they did this a little bit better. What else is there to go over? Oh, duh. We got a caboose back here. So let's get back there and sit in it. I don't know, that sounded really bad, but whatever. Pretty nice. Lots of different views. Be crazy, but I feel like this would be in English. What? Hey, got some cans of foods here. Yep. That's cool. Yeah, there we are. Lots of different views inside the caboose. Caboose looks great. Inside and out, overall, I like it. Does the caboose have lighted markers? It sure do. Very nice. Let's run it. Oh, right. That's interesting. Is there not a hit marker for the firebox? Doesn't seem so. So no hit marker for the firebox. That's kind of unfortunate. I feel like that's not right. Yeah, the firebox door is supposed to be functional. It is on their interactive cab controls list, but does not seem to be the case. So, yeah. Not bad. Firebox looks pretty neat. Firebox glow on the outside shows up. Pretty nice. Cylinder Cox exhaust looks pretty darn good. See if we can slip it. No. Darn. Cylinder Cox looking and sound pretty good. Once again though, this safety valve is too much. The safety valve is louder than the chup sounds. Wide open throttle, full reverse. And the chup sounds are really, really, really quiet compared to that safety. I feel like they should definitely be louder. overall, not bad. Like, the chuff sounds aren't bad. I just... That blasted... Oh. Oh. Oh, that's their best rolling sound yet. Absolutely, I love it. That coasting sound is on point. Love it. I do think the coasting sounds could stand to be a little bit louder. Well, actually, they sound great right here. I think they could stand to, like, have their radius, their distance of sound a little better. I wish the chuff sounds were louder, a little bit louder. Let's see if the freight has any. Overall, they're not bad, but there's a noticeable loop. You hear that chink chink, chink chink, chink chink. It's where the the sound starts to change over, and then the next car takes over. I mean, overall, they're not bad, but they definitely have a noticeable loop to them. The breaker running. See if it makes a difference to crank up the stoker without the firebox open. It does not. There's not a keybind listed for the firebox doors. So that's a lot of... that's upsetting. Hopefully that's a bug that they catch. Yeah, that's kind of needed if you operate from inside the cab like I do. Alright, let's see if we can burn off some of that safety valve pressure. Unfortunately, their simulation's kind of the same. Locomotive responds instantly to your throttle. It doesn't have that gradual build up and drop off of steam pressure like it should. It's not the worst thing in the world, I understand, but it definitely is noticeable whenever you run some of the more advanced locomotives from other places. I do like that chuff sound range though. I just wish they were a little bit louder. It's okay. Coming up on what this locomotive is supposed to stay at anyway. Oh yeah, I like those idle sounds. They're nice. That coasting sound is arguably the best part of the sound set, in my opinion. Which I know is a dumb thing, but a lot of people tend to forget about coasting sounds. They're not always under throttle, blower, and blower. Maybe the hit marker for the blower is just that large. Air pump, lubricator, injector, stoker. Cox. Oh, forgot about that. Oh. Live injectors right there. What all of this? Injector. Injector. So let's run out ahead for a second. You know, I like to. Goodness, my frames are taking a heart attack. Oh, the distance whistle is so nice. Oh, right, I forgot. While holding the spacebar down for your whistle, if you press enter, you can get a short note. So you can kind of play the whistle. It's not an as controllable system as like what we see in Railroad or Railroads Online, but at least you can play the whistle to an extent. It's just more than Train Sim Classic has had for years. Trying to find a nice spot to blast its AP so burn it off constantly. Alright, coming up on 40 here. Go ahead and start bringing it to a stop. What is animated does look really nice. It's nice and smooth. Gosh, I love that coasting sound, man. It's just, they did a nice job with that. I dare say this is definitely their best sound set so far. Oh, that's cool. I like the braking sounds. Yep, braking sounds are kind of nice. That's interesting. This probably has something to do with the super elevation, but the way they sit down in the rails like that is a lot of bit funny. But yeah, guys, there it is, the Western Maryland I-2s from, oh, my brain died for a second. From Machine Rail. Western Maryland I-2s from Machine Rail. Western Maryland Decapods. Heck of a pack. Thus far, easily their best sound set, without a doubt. I 100% think this is their best sound set. Uh, Overall, the model looks great. Couple things with the animation, you know, sad times, no functioning brakes, whatever. Uh, Everything else looks really, really well animated and modeled. Couple things that I noted, mostly texturing and sound audio levels. I think they could play with the audio levels a little bit. And then, of course, the lack of what they'd call pro-line steam physics and such. They would be nice. They'd be a nice feature without a doubt if they had kind of the same simulation aspect that stuff like the pro-line steam locomotives from like Victory Works and whatnot have. But I can't fault them for that. Overall, their modeling is phenomenal. They've come a long way, as we saw between this and those Western Maryland consolidations. There's a noticeable quality difference. They have definitely improved. They've definitely done a good job. So yeah, definitely go check it out. It is available on their website right now. I will put the link in the description, or you can pick these up. Highly recommend checking it out. I dare say it's one of their best models yet, without a doubt. Can't wait to see what's next for them. So definitely go check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.